Tonight with Mark Halperin, editor-in-chief of Two-Way TV, author of the book Game Change, which sparked my interest in covering politics for a living. Mr. Halperin, always good to see you, sir. I think only one of these two things can be true. Either Democrats cannot help themselves because Trump so offends them and enrages them, or they have some polling that we don't, showing that making Trump the issue no matter what is a winning strategy. Which one is it?
Well, I think it's maybe more the first, but Trump derangement syndrome is a powerful force, but so is principle. There's some things that Democrats are fighting against that they really believe in. For instance, they believe that people who come to the country legally, but then work hard and contribute to society and become kind of part of their community, they don't believe those people should be deported. The president believes that they should, not necessarily going to deport them all, but that's a strong principle. They believe on a principled basis that the use of active U.S. military and in some cases National Guard without more of a cause than is currently at issue is wrong. So I don't want to say they're completely affected by Trump derangement syndrome. And I don't want to say that they've got some secret polling. However, their effort to protest is undermined by the basic reality of which you've highlighted repeatedly. These are U.S. law enforcement carrying out legal, authorized activities who are being attacked. And their failure to look for ways to keep that from happening and their failures to show genuine, what appears to be genuine outrage at the destruction of private property doesn't allow them to make the principled argument because they're not in the game.
It's interesting when you look at the polling, and you are better at dissecting this than almost anybody I know. 55% said they like Trump's goals. 45% dislike the goals when asked about Trump's deportation program. 44% said they like Trump's approach. 56% they say they dislike the approach. Why not, if for Democrats who, as you point out, have some sincerely held beliefs, and I'm not sure they're wrong, that somebody who's been here for 30 years and has never gotten a traffic ticket and has worked hard and built a family and on, should be treated very differently. I think they should be than somebody who is a criminal alien. Yet Democrats seem to insist that they are treated the same. And I'm wondering why they're not willing to give Trump anything or to negotiate with him on sanctuary city laws and the other. Have you seen any indication of willingness there?
Well, they don't have an obvious dance partner in the president, right? Because he's not looking for compromise. He rarely has, if ever, on the issue of immigration. I think that Democrats for a long time on immigration, whether it's talking about legislation in Washington or how to deal with Donald Trump's activities around the country, including in this term, they turn to the most extreme point of view that they could have. They don't want to find the middle. They want to get everything that they want to get. And you think about, with the exception of a few people like Senator Fetterman, think about what Democrats are talking about these very complicated issues like real people, as opposed to extreme partisans.
Right. No, I agree.
Many.
You really don't think, though, that if Gavin Newsom flew to Washington and said, look, I am willing to end California's sanctuary status for 6 months for anyone who commits a felony, in return, no workplace raids, that Trump wouldn't love the idea of a deal, and therefore he could say that he was trying to only get criminal aliens out first and say we'll deal with everybody else later? That seems like right up Donald Trump's alley.
It's a great hypothetical. I normally won't entertain a hypothetical that elaborate, but I'll do in this case because of my respect for you. Maybe, but I don't know that Donald Trump at this point would take the meeting, or that Gavin Newsom could get away with making such an offer. There's still a lot of pressure on both sides. So if Gavin Newsom could make that offer and Trump would hear it, I think you're right. I think there's something on substance there. But part of the tragedy for the country of what's happening now is there's so much attention on Newsom versus Trump, so much attention on the riots and the violence. that reasonable debate about how to forge something good for the country out of this is difficult to do under these circumstances.
Thank you for watching. Subscribe below and download our NewsNation app right now on your phone, and you will get fact-based, unbiased news for all Americans.